Lee arrived at Appomattox with 3 people. All the while, Grant, on the other hand, had his entire entourage with him, including General Philip Sheridan. Before entering the house, Grant told his men to wait outside while he personally greeted General Lee, who had been waiting there at this point for about 30 minutes. The 2 generals apparently shook hands and, from all accounts, spoke about their ventures in the Mexican-American War. This, in essence, broke the ice in many ways and allowed the surrender negotiations to commence. Now, what could both men have been feeling here? It's hard to say, especially with General Lee. Lee never wrote a memoir, and the only other person who was a Confederate in the room was Lieutenant Colonel Charles Marshall. While for the Union, there was the Chief of Cavalry, Philip Sheridan, Chief of Staff, John Rowlands, Inspector General Seth Williams, and Maury, who's who on the northern side of the Eastern Campaign. So we have a lot of northern perspectives here, the most important one being Grant himself, but only a few from the southern perspective. Neither man really spoke to each other directly, neither Lee nor Grant. Most of the correspondence between Grant and Lee had been penned out on paper and passed back and forth. The language here is so formal, so dense, so carefully said that the tension here could probably be cut with a knife, even if that wasn't the true intention by either party. Grant proposed paroling all of Lee's men to lay down their arms and hand them over to the Union, and they'd be disbanded from taking up arms against the United States ever again. These are very lenient terms, to which Lee accepted. Lee formally asked for these conditions to be written out, to which Grant wrote out the terms himself with a pencil. He noticed Lee's sword, and on the spot decided to allow the officers to keep their sidearms, horses, and baggage. This further smooths over the misgivings the Southerners may have had towards the Northerners. This book was also then passed back to Lee, where he cleaned his glasses, almost stalling, and he silently read the conditions. Lee points out that General Grant had forgotten the word exchange, and offers to put it in himself. Grant agrees and has his aide Porter give Lee a pencil to write it in. But Lee goes one step further. He then asks Grant to let his soldiers who have their own horses to keep them, to which Grant and the others seemed surprised by. This was far beyond and exceeded the norms of accepting terms of surrender. What Lee had done here is put General Grant on the spot. Perhaps Lee was testing the waters to see what he could get away with. To Grant's credit, he lets any Confederate soldier who claims to own a horse to be allowed to keep it. This certainly shocked several of his staff, but they kept quiet.